Well, I think the days of protective custody are over. Um, you know, if you go back into history, our constitutional history, in the 60s, we had the Preventive Detention Act, in the First Republic. Then subsequently in 69, a law was passed, which allowed for the state to detain people or put political, uh, persons or people who were politically tainted in protective custody. In that case, they were not brought before a court and all that. But under the current dispensation, there is nothing, in our laws which allows for people to be kept in protective custody. The rules are very clear. If you arrest somebody on suspicion that the person has committed a crime, you have 48 hours within which to bring the person before a court of law for the court to make a determination whether it is proper to continue to keep the person, maybe to afford the state the opportunity to continue with the investigation. Beyond that, I know of no law, known as protective custody law, which allows for a person to be picked up and detained without recourse to due process.
So even that alone sounds wrong to you.
The very use of the phrase protective custody is reminiscent of political repression. That we saw under the 1969 regime, Housier's regime. They passed the protective custody laws. And I think that all lovers of democracy frown upon such laws. Just like we often make a fuss about the PDA, the Preventive Detention Act, that was passed in the First Republic.
Having said that, what do you make of everything you're hearing about what has transpired in some suburb of Ashaiman, boots on the ground, brutalities to some extent? The military is laying claim to it that it was intelligence-led, among others. I'm sure you've seen the videos. What do you think?
The videos are very worrying, Senna. But before I proceed, I must condemn in no uncertain terms the gruesome murder of the young soldier who visited Ashaiman and unfortunately got murdered. Look, it is wrong. It is unjustifiable, and the state security apparatus, the police, the CID, must work day and night to unearth the circumstances surrounding the murder of the soldier. I extend my deepest condolence to the family of the deceased soldier and the military high command. But, Senna, having said that, there is no justification whatsoever for the reaction of the military at Ashaiman. I've seen videos where women and children were rounded up, asked to lie prostrate, and flogged. In this time and age, we cannot tolerate such acts. Look, what we saw seriously has dented the reputation of our armed forces, which has, over the period, gained international accolades. They have been praised wherever they have been deployed to restore peace and calm. And so, with that kind of reputation, if we continue to record acts of this nature committed by our armed forces, it's going to take the shine out of the successes they have over the period chalked. And so I am very, 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 very troubled at the happenings in Ashaiman. And you see why I am even more troubled is the fact that this is not the first time. A few months ago, a similar incident occurred in Wa, and the military high command itself was very quick, and we commended them, the Committee for Defense and Interior. When we went to Wa to conduct our own investigation, we were full of praise for the military high command because they acted very swiftly, punished the soldiers who were involved in brutalizing the people of Wa, In fact, in one particular instance, we even felt that the military had, been, they went overboard in respect of one of the soldiers who was a sergeant. He was stripped from the rank of sergeant to a private soldier. But we were full of commendation for the military high command. And so a few months down the line, where the military itself says they authorize an operation of that nature, and at the end of the day, the operation results in the gross violation of the rights of our citizens, we cannot accept that. We just cannot accept that. I would have thought that in the aftermath of the gruesome murder of the young soldier, the military should have collaborated with the police to fish out for the suspects. You see, we have the defense intelligence, even though their mandate is to gather, intelligence on issues bordering on possible external aggression, but they also complement the role of internal intelligence. And so the military could have worked hand in hand with the CID, the Police Intelligence Department, the National Intelligence Bureau, to fish out for the suspects and bring them to book. But for the armed forces to have taken the law into their hands, and do what they did, seriously speaking, there is no justification for their conduct. And I condemn their conduct in very clear language.
There are questions that have been raised about this, the very suggestion that is even intelligence-led. That if you see the videos, there's no suggestion of intelligence in there. It's as if they went into the community and perhaps brutalize every man they see. Do you also sense that?
Well, I seriously, they have indicated in their own statement that there were excesses. And so where there are excesses, of course, you cannot be comfortable with excesses of any form. And so I'm happy they have admitted that there were excesses. But beyond the admission that there were excesses, the point I'm making is that, why? We could have done this in a more, let me put it bluntly, in a more civilized way. Yes, we could have done this in a better way. So there can't be any justification for the conduct of the military in this particular instance. And I seriously would want to underscore the point that in this time and age where our armed forces has a very good reputation worldwide, some of these things shouldn't be happening because the international community is watching. The UN is watching. Do you think they would be comfortable to have our men deployed? Will they hold the view that if our men and women in uniform are becoming unprofessional? But we have been touted as one of the most professional armies in sub-Saharan Africa. We must not do anything to bring into question the enviable position we have acquired over the period.
Should there be consequences for what happened now that the military high command has owned up?
Of course, I expect them to immediately set in motion. There are mechanisms internally in the armed forces where excesses are committed by their men when they are deployed to carry out operations. They must immediately set in motion the mechanism for, first of all, identifying those who were involved in the excesses and punish them according to their own rules and regulations. I know they have even the court-martial system, which is a court, and that court punishes officers and men when they go contrary to the rules, the standard operating procedures. I mean, in the armed forces itself. I mean, if we see such steps, actions being taken, that would give us comfort. But beyond that, you can be sure that Parliament would not sit on the fence. We will intervene, just as we intervened in the case of Wa. Ashaiman will not be treated differently.
But should we then not be also asking for accountability at the top of the military command? Because your men are not trained to do this kind of investigations. You deploy them on the ground. To do what exactly? That they should have anticipated this. And so accountability should rather be at the top, not with the men who were deployed.
Well, Senator, you see, when the war incident happened, clearly the operation in war was not authorized. So we have to draw the line. But here, the military itself has admitted that they sanctioned the operation. And so we need to be asking questions. How come they were excessive? And so when we begin to look into this matter, definitely those who were in command at the time the operation was executed would definitely have certain questions to answer. No doubt about that.
In the meantime, they say they have in their custody 184 persons that they are investigating. What should happen?
Well, look, Senna, I have made the point, and I will repeat myself, that criminal investigation is the province of the police. Our laws are very clear. And so, where the military embarks upon an operation and arrest suspects, I would expect that immediately the suspects are handed over to the police for screening. Once the suspects are screened, those who have questions to answer definitely must be dealt with in accordance with law. Those whose arrest may have been arbitrary ought to be released immediately. Those who have suffered various degrees of injury as a result of the operation must be compensated by the state. No doubt about that.